All right, guys, welcome back. Part two. We're gonna finish talking about the teams and getting our up to date where we're at in the league. So let's just move on to Jordan here. Boys, I think Jordan's done a great job this offseason. He's been making moves. There's still some fill-ins, but positive future from all the old guys he used to have.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jordan's team on my own screen. No draft picks this year. I mean, not a huge deal. He's got a great starting roster. He's got a lot of youth also in there. Pretty much every piece, is old. If your oldest guys are Chris Godwin and Mark Andrews, you're probably in a pretty good spot overall. Um, Marvin Mims is one of kind of like the only weak points you see, kind of like I shouldn't say only. It's pretty glaring, at least in there. I think he might take a step forward this year. Who knows? I feel like there's always offseason hype for Mims. Dobbs looked great in the playoffs last year. I think Jordan's got a great team. I'm going to be honest, and I'm just going to add this in as a side comment. I must say his team name at least 3 times a day. I'm addicted to saying it. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
Give it to us again. What is it?
Dortch Rudder. I have no idea. I say it all day, dude. I don't know why, Jordan.
George Schroeder.
You're so far in my head. I have no clue.
Wow, Jordan owns real estate in his head.
Yep.
How do you feel about that, Vinny?
Wow, can't believe it. I haven't thought twice about it. I can't believe it's tripping up Jilka like this.
It's the
But yeah,
ADHD. I think. I don't know.
I do agree with the lineup. I think everything's looking great. I wouldn't consider this a no draft pick type of situation for him, just because he does have the 301, 302,
Yeah.
303. But it's the futures that I would be concerned with. Just having no first rounders until 2027 now, once he actually gets those. Hopefully your team can last until then. And, he has the young talent, so I'm sure he can last until 2027.
Yeah.
Yep. His quarterback situation's pretty good. He walked into both of them and good job on Jordan. I think he's gonna compete. This is, and I'll come out and say it, I'm sure I'm not alone. I've tried my damnedest to get Jahmyr Gibbs from Jordan. It,
Uh,
it I've sent him some juicy offers and he's texted me back that they're pretty good, but he's just such a good player to get rid of.
yeah.
So we'll move on to the next team. AK, talk about another absentee owner. Right there along. Where you been at, AK? Real quiet off season from you. I think he is the one team that has, besides like maybe Alex, because Alex's big trade was in the season, with Jacobs, but AK has to be heard from. Like, where is he? Help.
Yeah. I think AK got a what I consider, and people can disagree. I thought it was a steal getting Taylor for what he did last year. I thought
Yes.
that was
Yes.
one of the
Yeah, just the
best trades.
first, right?
Just
Yeah.
one first.
It was for a first, and I think there was like something else thrown in there. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. If you have, and then he also walked in with Zamir White too. I can't remember if he drafted
Yep.
him or if he traded for him.
I
AK's
think
got,
he drafted him.
yeah,
Let's give him his flowers if he did.
yeah,
He did draft him right before me. I remember being pissed about it.
All
okay,
right, there we go.
yeah. I mean, as you said, I feel like Dynasty, it's an adjustment for people. I don't know if AK's ever done Dynasty before or
This is
any
his
other
first
one.
time.
Yeah, there's a lot
He's
of people
in
who haven't
keeper
done
leagues, but
Dynasty.
first time dynasty.
Yeah, it's typically won in the offseason. I think AK has a great team. He's got some good pieces. Obviously Taylor, Garrett Wilson. If is Rogers going to be healthy this year? Quarterback is definitely the biggest issue AK has. You've got a 40-year-old
Yes.
quarterback. You have Derek Carr, who mid-tier quarterback at best, I would say at this point. He had a couple good years. Justin Fields, who the hell knows? Can you scroll down to actually I have his picks, I'm sorry. He has the
Yep, his
103
picks.
and he has the 203. Yeah, I feel like he's in a great spot for both of those.
Good spot to
Um,
retool.
yeah, especially at the 203, you could easily grab like a younger quarterback. That's probably what I would do if I was in that situation, but that's the fun in dynasty and drafting. You never know what anybody else is going to do, right, guys? So, that was kind of like my thoughts on AK's team,
Yeah.
but I think he has again some great pieces, and that Zeus White sitting there in the second running back could be the steal of the draft that he had in the startup.
Yep. Vinny, what do
Definitely
you
could
think?
be. I do agree with White. I think that's now a good second running back to have, especially when your first one is Taylor. But if I'm looking at this complete picture, I feel like AK's stuck in the middle.
Yes.
I'm not sure if he's,
Yes.
towering towards contenders, but he's not towering
got
down
his-
towards a rebuild. He's just kind of stuck in this middle ground.
Yeah, and AK, here's the thing with AK and why, like, be more active. You got really good assets. We're looking at his picks right now. 2 firsts next year. A second. You still have, he could have dangled that 3rd overall to get a pretty good player, I figured, this year. He's gonna get a starter with that pick this year. So I think he could really upgrade his team if he really wanted to here, boys.
I forget who said it. I think it was before our startup or right after our startup draft that we had. Hugo, it might have been you. You typically don't want to be caught in the middle when you're playing Dynasty of,
Pick
like
a
Vinny
side.
just mentioned. If you're kind of stuck in the middle of, are you going to contend? Are you retooling for the future? It's usually you kind of got to pick which side you're going to be on. You know what I mean? Like, are you gonna start prepping for that future, or are you going all in now? And I feel like he definitely has the pieces to go all in now, but I could also absolutely see AK flipping it on the other side of the coin and saying, I'm gonna rebuild. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's probably the biggest opportunity for AK is making that decision on one side of the fence at that point.
Yeah, you never want to be the first team that didn't make the playoffs. Like you were just one game behind or lost by a few points. You never want to be that team.
Yep. So we'll move on to the last team here before we get into the mock draft. Let's talk about the Marty Party, because this is a team that I've been talking with Marty. I'm not gonna say what he thinks about his own team. I know how he feels. So I think personally, Marty's got to freaking jump on the horse and go all in with this roster. He's got to do it. If he could get one more star player and really go all in with his 106 and 206 pick, I think Marty can contend. But he's sold on selling McCaffrey real soon if he's not winning here, boys.
Vinny, you can kick this one off.
I was gonna say he's got a clear top 3 here, in my opinion. McCaffrey, Olave, and London. And then there is a steep drop off. Like you could definitely win with 3 superstars on your team, or what you think should be superstars. We'll see how London actually plays with Cousins.
I love both those young receivers this year.
But I mean, you can't win with 3. You gotta another middle ground here where you got to start making choices.
Yeah, to Hugo's comment about if you're going to sell McCaffrey, now is 100% the time to do it, whether it's pre-draft, sell it to somebody who is really going into contend, get some of those picks right before it. It's not going to do you any good to sit on McCaffrey, make your draft pick worse that you're going to have going into the 2025 season having McCaffrey. McCaffrey's one of the only guys in fantasy who can actually not just steal you a matchup.
Taxes McCaffrey.
Yep. It's insane. He's one of the only guys. With that said, I think Marty has a great roster. I mean, like you guys said, he has that core that's right in there. I have definitely sent Marty quite a few offers. I never heard back from Marty, so I don't know how much he's on Sleeper or anything like that.
Use your phone, Marty, for once in your life.
Marty, I'm trying to help the both of us here. Help me out, bud. But yeah, I agree with the both of you. Great pieces, 3 genuinely foundational pieces. McCaffrey, who knows how long he has left? He's been so efficient for so long, but as long as you have Olave and we'll see if even London hasn't been the guy that he was as advertised in that draft class that he had. Did he have a quarterback really throwing to him? Not really, but he's got Cousins now, so let's see if he takes that, let's see if he becomes that wide receiver 1 that he was so lauded as in that draft that he had. So
yeah, you got to cash in on Kittle too. Like if there's so many teams that need a tight end, and he's peaking up there in age, but Marty's really a starter away from being one of those like definitely contending teams if he dedicates to it. but he's gotta
Yeah.
decide.
I will say the nice thing with him having Kittle, though, he does have Schultz for Houston, who
Yep.
is not exactly like a slouch either. So at least he does have a little bit of a younger guy who can produce. Because I mean, we all know Kittle is good for missing at least like 5 games a year.
I don't know
so.
if anyone saw it too. I love Kittle way more now. He's kept the same Dragonite Pokemon card in his wallet since he was a
Yes.
kid.
I did not see that. You're gonna have to send me that.
Love him now.
Yeah.
I have heard that. It's really funny. So boys, I'm firing up the mock draft here. We're getting ready to go. That was a great catch up on everybody's teams. I loved how we did that. Please feel free to clap back, boys. We talked about all your teams, all our teams, and we just gave our thoughts, you know. I'd
It's
love
opinionated, never personal. It's just again,
Exactly.
everybody has different views on who they see with players in their teams. So
Yes. So just updating the settings here. Let's see if my practice made perfect. And bada bing, bada boom. We got a 2-round mock draft coming at you, boys. This is the best part of fantasy. Let's be real, boys. The draft.
it gets the boys
agree.
buzzing in the offseason. There's always the horny owners looking for that rookie stud that's going to lead them into the future. You know what I mean? I always love seeing what people who values the picks more, or kind of like the established players already. But the draft is always the most. It's the most fun once you get to around that time in the offseason. It's what makes doing all that work all year worth it. You know what I mean?
Make or break, Tom.
Love it, Vinny. Love it. So we're quickly gonna just talk about the top guys that we see here. Marvin Harrison, like they say he's a can't miss stud. Malik Neighbors, Roma Dunze. Boys, these are the consensus top 3 picks in this year's draft. How do you feel about that? You guys agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think especially for a 1 quarterback league, I would agree that those 3 should be and are allotted as the guys. So I 100% agree with that.
Awesome. Awesome. So for you guys at home, watching, listening, none of us, Vinny, you don't even have a pick in the first 2 rounds yet.
What a guy.
Yet.
Yeah.
No one's gonna pick their own picks. So number 1 is mine. Boys, is it a secret anymore? Like who's going number 1? It never has been, right?
Can I say one thing before Vinny obviously says the pick? That I remember it was not too long ago. Hugo very much stated in the chat that he would have taken Romo Dunze if he had the first pick overall.
No,
right.
second.
Second, I'm sorry. Second.
Did say second.
Yeah. So second. But I jumped up to first, trade with Stick. And I can't wait. Boys, I want to let you in my brain real quick. This little brain of mine. I was petrified to make that number 2 pick. Absolutely petrified. I love Odunze with all my heart. Loved him in Washington. He was my favorite receiver to watch in college last year. I watch a bunch of college football. If Neighbors is who they say he is, it would have broken my heart to have did all that losing last year to not get the better player. Moving up to number 1 is such a relief, and it's got to be Vinny. Make the pick for me. Is it obvious?
I was just gonna say you're picking number 2 here, but Hugo traded up for number 1. He's a huge homer. He's taking running back Will Shipley, Eagles. No, it's obviously Marv Harrison. Go ahead, throw him in. I think that's just like even last year, it was consensus dynasty number 1, Marvin Harrison. He's going to be the best receiver, top pick in the draft. So I think it's a can't miss prospect, and Hugo can slot him in right in his shitty lineup.
I'm so excited, boys. Oh my God, I can't even begin to explain. Joke, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's the consensus pick. I think it would be very, very shocking if I saw somebody take anybody in a PPR, and especially a 1 quarterback not going Harrison with that first one. He seems like a surefire to be a superstar, but again, nothing's always sold in 100% when it's a rookie going into the NFL. You know what I mean? How many people have we seen that haven't worked out, who were lauded as like the next guy that was like the prodigy? So
Yep.
I have high hopes for Harrison, but I agree with Vinny. Like, yeah, I feel like you have to go Harrison.
Yep. All right, Joke on pick number 2 for Stick. who now has to make that tough decision
Yeah,
between Neighbors and Odunze.
number 2 is tough. I've talked to a lot of people who do Dynasty, and they're very much sold that it should really only be Neighbors. But I watched a lot of Odunze last year. Dude looks like a stud. I also feel like in this situation, Neighbors is not necessarily the safer one, but I feel like he's more likely to be the guy faster. So if you're looking for immediate results, like Stick is, he's probably going to want to go with Neighbors because he's contending right away with the team, with the players that he just traded for. Whereas Odunze, he does have some competition, not just with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, but Komet's not exactly a slouch. You know, they have DeAndre Swift back there. I do think Odunze will be good in the long run, but if I'm Stick, I got to go Neighbors.
All right. Sounds good. Let's put Malik Neighbors in the spot. And I'm going to pick number 3 here for AK. And we were talking with AK like what his team needs are. And but we're right. This is too easy of a pick. It's got to be Odunze for him. It's the top 3 players here, boys. We're not even going to pussyfoot or anything like that. You guys agree?
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's a 4 though. I'm ready to pick IBs right here pretty quickly.
Oh, really, Vinny? All right.
just,
Who do you think?
I know it wasn't the most ideal pick and situation for him, but I feel like you still go Brock Bowers here.
You think his tight end need is that bad?
I don't think his tight end need is that bad. I just feel like future value of Brock Bowers possibly being the best tight end in football is something you can't really pass up on here.
yeah. To kind of just adding on to Vinny's, I would have made the exact same pick, Vinny. There's 2 players who they said were generational talents in this draft, and that was Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers. I think also with Alex's kind of like situation with the positions that he's looking for, I think Bowers is the obvious pick for him too.
All right. Bowers it is to Ivy at number 4. That's a hell of a nice twist, Vinny. I like it because I don't agree with it. I think there's still so many stud receivers in this draft.
Yeah.
Tight end that isn't going to score as much as receivers. So
Yeah, but imagine if somebody told you like, hey, you could draft Kelsey in the rookie draft. How far would he fall?
touche. They say generational. I'm a believer. I think he'll be great. All right. Joka, make my pick here at number 5, buddy.
Yeah, honestly, I'm looking at your team, man, and honestly, it's a little bit of a tough spot for you. I really do feel like you could go kind of like either way with a wide receiver or a running back. If you were going to go running back, I would obviously say probably Brooks. He looks like he's going to be the first one that's going to be the guy immediately. But if I did have to pick, and I'm just trying to judge this, Hugo and I have not talked at all about his pick, so nobody like assume that. I would assume you're probably going to go for like
a stone cold hard lock until
Yep.
the day of the draft.
If I know Hugo, he's probably so horned up for Xavier Worthy, so I'm gonna go ahead and take Xavier Worthy with that pick right there. So
It has been chosen via Joka. My pick. All right. Number 6. Who is number 6 here? I am spacing out on the pick. I think it's Marty. So Marty.
Yep, it is.
We were talking about Marty's team earlier and how he has a good lineup. He just needs to commit to winning. So for Marty, he has McCaffrey. He wants to sell him, and I don't see anything behind him. And he's got those great receivers in Olave and London. Could he use another one? Absolutely. Marty's not a team that has quarterback issues, or maybe Tua's all he's got. So Marty is an absolute wild card in my opinion here, boys. I got to imagine that behind Tua, he's got nothing. And here is where Caleb Williams comes off the board, boys. Do you guys think it's a reach if he goes Caleb Williams there at 6?
No, I don't think so.
No, not at all.
I in most of the leagues that I've been in, I've seen Williams go like 5 or 6 in most of them, but also just kind of off of the talent that he is projected. I would agree with that, Hugo. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah. Marty needs a depth, and it's got to happen here for sure.
Is it also crazy to say like potentially like think about like trading it if you're not going to take that pick? You know what I mean? Because I feel like he's one of those few teams where actually trading that pick would benefit him more than maybe picking a guy.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. Vinny, what do you got to say here on number 7, Matty Daddy?
So
The first of
I'm
back-to-back picks here. So first
yeah,
time to happen.
I'm looking at it, and I think the route would go is to grab a young receiver. It's just if your top guys are gonna be Stephon Diggs, Deontay Johnson, and Cortland Sutton, that's not gonna last that much longer. So I will pick for him.
Some
I'll
good
keep
guys here.
scrolling. There's
Yeah, I
some good
know.
guys here. Let's talk about
Well,
him for the people that are only listening. He's looking
well,
at McConkey, Coleman, Brian Thomas, Adonai Mitchell, Leggett, for the wide receivers due up projected.
we'll give him Lad. We'll give him that first wide receiver. I feel like he should go that route anyways, even if it isn't Lad.
You think his
Just a young
connection with
receiver
Herbert's going to be good?
Herbert is always good, so you don't know if Vlad is going to
That's
be the
right.
guy, but I take the shot on him here.
All right, back-to-back pick, Joker.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with having back-to-back picks when you've got talent like this in the draft. I mean, I'm looking at his team, and if I'm Matt, honestly, I'll probably taking a shot, and I'm taking Brooks right here. Maybe if you're already getting some of that wide receiver depth. I know some of the guys are a little bit older, but the nice thing for Matt, he does have quite a few picks next year as well. But in this one, I'm going to at least try to attempt the guy that's supposed to be the best running back in the class. So I would take Brooks at that pick.
Nice. All right, am making the next pick here. It is for Dumont. A team that really needs to hit on his draft picks. If you guys probably agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And looking at his team over here on the side, James Cook and Aaron Jones are his only starting running backs. And besides that, he only has Smith and Jigba and Addison for wide receivers. The top running back just got taken, but I don't think Dumont's aiming for that here in the first pick. Definitely looking at receiver. And Dumont's a flashy guy. He's looking for a flashy player. I think Keon Coleman going to Buffalo. Hopefully he has that rookie connection with Josh Allen. I think that's going to be the pick for Dumont right there. So, you guys agree?
Yeah, I think that's a good
Yep.
pick. I mean, I also feel like out of all those wide receivers that are on there, he's the one that has the biggest chance to be the guy on his team. So,
yep. All right, Vinny, Joka with the second
Picking
of
for
his first
Joka.
round pick.
be nice to me, man.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about it, that there is a glaring hole at running back, especially on Miami's bye week. So you got to take the next best one in Trey Benson.
All right, second running back coming off the board here with Joka. Again, Joka, we're not going to let you talk about your pick or anything like that, Vinny. I think it's smart. But what I'm saying right there, Brian Thomas is falling a little bit for me. I think he has a good chance in Jacksonville to be something with Trevor.
I think so too. I think there's just a lot of good wide receivers.
I was just gonna say it feels like a couple of years ago all over again when it was London and Olave and similar to like that draft. There's a lot of talent who are going to be the guys that take that next step and become the the wide receiver ones on their team. It's so hard. Eventually somebody's going to fall. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right. Number 11, Joka, give it to me for Dylan here.
Yeah, I mean, again, we talked about Dylan's team. Seems to be the most stacked, at least from a roster starting standpoint, along with the depth, kind of like that combo in there. But if I had to look at it, I am probably going to take Brian Thomas in this spot. I think it's his wide receivers after his starters that are in here. I know he has a couple of them in the flex, but Hopkins is getting a little bit older. Higgins isn't exactly always the healthiest guy, so maybe you get a guy like Brian Thomas, and it kind of takes the edge off that a little bit. So
I think if Brian Thomas fell to Dylan, he'd be pumped here.
yeah. I would agree. I'd be pumped if he somehow. Well, I mean, I guess I would have just skipped over that
pick number
right there.
11. That's a big fall.
Yeah.
Pick number 11.
Yeah, because he was originally. I remember in the some of like the mock drafts that the experts are doing, he was like the 6th or 7th guy.
Yep. So next pick is going to be Dumont here, the second of his first rounders, and the second team to go back-to-back picks in the first round after Matty Daddy. So Dumont here. I think he has to keep adding. What was the first pick that we gave him here? I believe it was
Coleman.
Keon
Keon
Coleman.
Coleman.
So we gave him one wide receiver already. And there's quarterbacks still here, Jaden Daniels, but there's no need for Dumont to draft Jaden Daniels with the two young studs that he has. Does he go with another young stud wide receiver? And Mitchell or Leggett, Blake Corum, do the running backs start going here? I think you got to take the best player available here. And you got to go with Mitchell. You got to create a stack with Richardson. I bet you he'd be pumped about that. Seeing it from Dumont's eyes, having Richardson, a stack with Adonai Mitchell, if he turns into something, would be huge.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, Hugo.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it is too.
All right. Second of the back-to-backs here for Dumont. Vinny, what are you thinking?
You know what? I'm gonna pull out the first shock of the draft.
I'm excited.
Dumont
wow.
doesn't even make this pick.
Oh,
Wow.
Ivy looks at his team and says, I need that quarterback. That quarterback's dropping. I believe in myself. I'm trading my first next year to Dumont, and I'm going to pick Jaden Daniels on Ivy's team.
I love that.
Round of applause,
Dude.
Vinny.
That's a dynasty manager right there, man. Listen to his mind spinning.
Boys, guys out there listening, watching to this, that is a champion fantasy football player right there. A guy that cares and is involved in his team. Vinny, amazing that you would do that in a mock draft episode. A mock trade of all things.
A mock trade for the mock draft. Hell yeah. I think it just makes sense for both of them that Dumont doesn't have that next superstar, like a clear cut superstar player. So he can take another chance on another first rounder, and then Ivy can take a chance on a quarterback he could actually start.
Wow. And here's the funny thing. I know 13 is Ivy's favorite number.
Was just gonna say that.
I was thinking the same thing. What a deal that would be. I hope you both are listening to this. Make that deal happen right there. If I would stop the draft in a second, give them 2 minutes to talk that one out and just do it.
We would all have to take a cheers to those that are in, like, the company of everybody that Hugo's place. Like, we would all have to do something to celebrate that the guru saw it happen.
Yeah, amazing. Because Alex needs a quarterback real bad.
Yeah, I think that
And
would
Alex
be a great
has
move.
future picks where even if he trades a first, he still has plenty of others.
Yep. Joka, give me Diego right now. What you think the champ is going to do? We'll run quicker in the second round here.
Yep, I'm just pulling up Diego's team right now. Honestly, again, I feel like he's got a great starting lineup. After that, I mean, he's fielding Flacco, Mac Jones. I feel like out of all of his depth that he has on here, he's really lacking with wide receivers besides Jameson Williams that he has. He's got a lot of running backs on his team. I feel like he's Hugo. I mean, Diego's a huge homer. I feel like he's going to take Drake May.
Would he dare?
I feel like Diego would be the one to potentially do it. I would still go with a wide receiver personally. I would probably go with Leggett or Pearsall right there. I really like Ricky Pearsall. But I feel like Leggett. Yeah, I feel like and Ayuk may be on the move. So Pearsall could be the guy that's next in line there too. But yeah, I would probably end up going with Leggett just because he's got the sexier fantasy name for like draft purposes. So
hell yeah, boys. That was the first round right there, boys. Freaking awesome. Loved seeing that. Let's move quickly with these in the second round.
Yep.
And time crunch here. Matty Daddy, what are you gonna do? You need running backs right now. I think Blake Corum's gonna go here, and the rush on running backs is gonna start going in the second round here, boys. They're gonna fly off the board. So Blake Corum to Matty Daddy there with 201. Vinny for Joka?
I mean, he did say he loves them. Throw him on his team, Ricky Pearsall.
I love it. He needs a wide receiver right there. And team 3, that's gonna be let's see, AK. Who's AK taking?
If I'm AK, I didn't have his team pulled up. If I'm AK, honestly, AK, I don't know if you would actually do this. I'm probably going Drake May at that point. I feel like he's kind of like the next option. AK has Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Justin Fields. I feel like AK has a lot to work on with kind of like his overall roster, but I feel like trying to get that young guy at quarterback is one of those first steps that you want to take. And he's probably going to get handed the keys to the franchise very, very soon. So,
Yep. So 204, this would have been Alex. But let's just say back to Dumont because maybe you got to give up the second rounder. So we'll pick as if this was going to Dumont. And I think he's gonna keep adding with the young talent around him. And maybe he becomes a homer for once and goes with Jalen Polk to keep adding to that young receiver nucleus.
yeah, Polk was pretty good in college. I can't remember. There was another player that was in front of him originally at wide receiver at Washington, that not Odunze, and he stepped in and he was kind of like flawless with it too. So,
Yep. Vinny, number 205.
Who we
And-
got still on the
And
board
this
here?
is for Joker.
on the board, he's like, yeah, the players.
And we are gonna pull up on the players here. Troy Franklin, Jalen Wright, JJ McCarthy, Roman Wilson.
Does Jilka do it? Does he triple up? He needs the running backs, and he takes Jalen Wright.
Jalen Wright. All
Yeah.
right. 3 running backs off the board after Joker only has 2 or 3 on his roster that are playable. All right. Team 6, this is Marty, Joker.
Yeah, so again, Marty, kind of one of those teams that's in between. But looking at Marty's team right here, I feel like you could throw any of these guys in the flex, but I'm probably gonna go with Troy Franklin. I think he stands to be like the next guy that's gonna be the next starter for Denver, at least as one of those wide receivers, and you could probably throw him into the flex like immediately. So
Yep. I'll go for Matty Daddy here. He's just got to keep taking the next running back available. He's running back needy team. He got Brooks earlier. He needs to double down as well. Vinny, picking for me real quick.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're not going to take JJ. There'd be no point. So,
What we got here?
I'm going to say that you still need help at wide receiver. You'll take the next one off the board here at Roman Wilson.
All right, Roman Wilson coming off the board there at 208. Joker for Matty Daddy 209 quickly.
Yep. If we're looking at Matt's team, I'm probably gonna go one of the. I'll probably take a shot on Malachi Corley right there. At least throw one of the wide receivers into the draft. He's had so many running backs. More than likely, you're gonna hit on one of them. So try to get some depth at wide receiver.
Yep. And Ricky, this is his first pick in the draft, Ricky. He's got all those wide receivers now. He needs running back. Does he take the best available, which is not high up on the rankings? I think you got to take the best player on the board there. And he needs a tight end behind Dalton Kincaid. So I could see Sinet going off the board. He's the top tight end behind Bowers. So I'll take Sinet there as a backup insurance for Ricky. And team 11,
That'd be Dumont, right?
Dumont. Yep.
Yep.
So what are you thinking there, Vinny?
Yeah, I think Dumont just needs to keep adding that depth. Obviously if he doesn't trade these away for futures, but he'll take the next wide receiver there, Jermaine Burton.
Awesome. Jermaine Burton coming off the board right there. JJ McCarthy has slid. And there is some quarterback needy teams. Joka, what do you say about me?
My webcam went out, but I'll still send it anyway. At this point, Hugo, I mean, I feel like we've made some pretty good picks for you in this draft, but I don't know, maybe just for some depth, maybe you just take a shot on one of these quarterbacks and you end up being the one to take JJ McCarthy. I feel like he's in a good spot with the weapons that he has in Minnesota, so maybe you take him as like a depth option behind Mahomes and Goff. I don't know, a guy to just throw kind of on your taxi and let him sit there for a year or two.
And Vinny, back to you to make my second of back-to-back picks in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't just trade for Hawk, I feel like I would have taken Sanders here, no problem for you. I'll still put him on your team. I'll say you'll take a shot here on Jatavian Sanders.
Sounds good. Add more tight end help to the room. And last pick, this is the champ, Diego. I'll make the pick here for it. And we're looking at quarterback depth. Does he need it? He's upset that he didn't get Drake May. But Diego has been talking up Braylon Allen on the side all off season. So we'll let that slide end right there. But boys, that's a mock draft. Hopefully everyone liked the results. You could see them here across the screen if you're watching the video. I think that there's plenty of talent in the first round here, boys. What do you think?
Yeah, there definitely is. And there's still some talent left on the board too. So, the third and fourth rounders is really where you make your money.
Joker, your mic's not working right now, but we're going to get that back on.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, it's definitely different being in a 14-team league and trying to gauge where some guys are going to fall to, and it's cool. I'm excited to kind of compare actually after our actual draft is done this Sunday, and seeing where some of these guys actually fall. I'm going to look back to this podcast and this episode and see how accurate we were. Maybe some people listen to us. If that trade does happen, it'll be electric at that party. So
yes,
it should happen.
yeah.
I definitely believe that, Vinny. That was awesome what you did and made that trade. So props to you. This is going to be a really fun day, boys. We're going to be active. Everything will be open starting Sunday afternoon for this league. Add guys, drop guys. Training camps around the corner. This is NFL time, boys. Our time is almost coming back.
Yep. I'm excited.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. Any final words real quick?
I mean, I just want to say, Hugo, thanks for doing these. I always have a blast whenever you invite me or listening to you and whoever's take is on here. So again, thanks for inviting me back. This was probably my favorite one that I've been a part of. So thanks.
Yeah, talking about teams is fine, but the draft is where it's fun. So I love these mock drafts, especially see what, not just what I think, but what the three of us combined can put together here.
It'll be nice to see some of the guys that we haven't met before too. There's a lot of people in this league. There's a lot of people that I have met. And there's a lot that I haven't. So
yep. Can't wait to get together, boys. This show's about to end. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all you guys. See you at the draft. Good luck, boys.
Go Pats.